So, in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month coming up here shortly, combined with the fact that I'm honestly kind of struggling to come up with interesting video ideas that aren't just thrift store hauls, I thought right now would be the perfect opportunity to introduce you all to my little collection that I like to call Mis Muñecas Diablitas, or my collection of extremely early Generation 1 Mexican Monster High clone dolls that I had imported directly from Mexico. And I didn't intend for this to become a collection. I mean, do you ever really intend to make a new collection? You just buy something and then suddenly you have a bunch of that thing. But I saw these dolls pop up on eBay in a million different colors a few years ago, and they really intrigued me because this isn't just any Monster High clone doll. These are a hybrid clone doll of sorts because, as you can see, this is definitely not a Monster High head sculpt. No, it is instead a cloned version of the Mycene head sculpt. And you know, I'd really like to be a fly on the wall in the factory whenever they were coming up with this amalgamation of vintage doll parts to pose as Monster High knockoffs. Because, I mean, what I'm imagining is because they didn't have like a Draculaura doll or any Generation 1 Monster High doll yet in the factory to clone the head sculpt off of, they must have had a Mycene doll there, or this mold already recasted and copied without the Mattel copyright on the back. Of course, these dolls do not have any sort of copyright or indication as to what factory they actually came from. I mean, the only marking that they have on them at all is this indentation on the back of the body sculpt, which just says Hecho in Mexico. So I have absolutely no idea what specific factory these came from, other than they're obviously from Mexico. But yeah, they must have seen Monster High getting popular, and they were like, quickly, how do we come up with a knockoff version of this using existing doll parts that we have? And they must have thought that because Mycene also had sort of a stylized head sculpt, that it was close enough. So they used the Mycene head sculpt, which I think is funny because, you know, a lot of the early Monster High prototypes used a lot of Mycene parts, so it sort of comes full circle. But not only does she use a Mycene head sculpt, but she also uses a cloned version of the vintage twist and turn Barbie body, like the vintage Malibu Barbie body with the twist and turn waist, the angled twist and turn waist joint. I'm not sure what specific name this body has. What I'm thinking is, and I'm just coming up with the most likely scenario in my head, is they must have had this body sculpt, this copy of this body sculpt already ready in the factory. And instead of copying the Mycene's original body, which she had the belly button body, she did not come with this body. It must have been either quicker or easier for them to adapt the Mycene head to work with this. I think it's no, it's sort of like a ball, like a ball joint on the head. So they adapted the Mycene sculpt to work with this older body. It's such a neat and weird amalgamation of Mattel's brands. You got Monster High because of the monstrous skin tones. You got the Mycene head sculpt and a vintage Barbie body. It's so weird and so cool. Whenever I found these, I kind of had I was kind of going through a phase where I was super fascinated by bootleg fashion dolls, and I still kind of am. I'm still on the lookout for these, but it's a lot harder to find them now than it used to be. Um, but these were just so mysterious and so interesting to me. But I thought that this one in particular was really cool, and I had to get her because, Monster High never really had a Red Devil character. And I thought this was a really interesting choice that they made because, I mean, it's not copied after any specific Monster High character. I mean, a lot of the ones that you'll see, you'll be able to pinpoint, oh, that one's based off of Laguna, that one's based off of Cleo, that one's based off of Frankie. But this is just sort of like an original creation of theirs. I think that she's really cool as well. They seem to have also copied the Mycene screening. Yeah, this is definitely an early Mycene screening, but they actually added Frankie's stitches on one of her cheeks, which is kind of interesting because she's not really supposed to be like a Frankenstein. I guess that they must have been looking at like an image of a Frankie Stein doll and they were like, "Oh, well, she has it, so let's copy it over to here so it looks more legit." But I don't think they're really fooling anybody with this level of like flashing on the vinyl on the body, this blow mold flashing. Like, look at this hand. This hand is insane. Like it's got so much flashing. It looks like her hand is a lot bigger than the mold is really meant to be. Um, Also, this body doesn't have the bend and snap knees. I think it originally had the click knees, but they of course didn't go through the effort to give them click knees. They're just hollow. Um, and as a kid, I had a lot of knockoff dolls like this because we really didn't have the money to get a bunch of brand new Barbie Fashion Fever dolls back then. So also this fascination with bootleg dolls partly comes out of nostalgia because she reminds me of a lot of those knockoff Dollar Tree dolls that I grew up with. Um, but even though she has the Mycene screening, I really love how they chose to give her black lips, which makes her look a lot more gothic, a lot more monstrous. And it's really hard to tell, but she actually has sort of shimmery eyeshadow right under her eyebrow. Very, very hard to tell, but it's there. Very strange details in this doll. And I love her brown eyes as well. Also, the hair quality on these dolls is to be expected, though I will say that they are rooted a lot better than most knockoff dolls. Like, they got a lot of balding, but they have more tracks of hair than I have seen on a lot of knockoff Barbie dolls. The hair is not great quality. It's polypropylene. But according to modern Mattel, polypropylene is apparently an acceptable hair fiber for Playline dolls. I actually think it would be really cool if Mattel made an official Red Devil Monster High character, though I know that Mattel kind of tries to avoid religious references in their modern fashion doll lines. Though they do have Cupid, who is an angel, and they also make Skelita, who is based off of Dia de Muertos, which is a religious holiday. So who knows? Maybe one day Mattel will have like an actual devil character. And you might be thinking, well, she just has red skin. What makes you say she's a devil? Well, there were two versions of this doll made. There was this one, and then there was also this other version that I have, which is actually a lot cooler because they went through the trouble of sculpting little horns for her. You see that? They sculpted little horns into this head sculpt to make her like sell more as like a devil character. Like, it's really strange how they went through the effort to sculpt these horns onto this Mycene head when it's not really copying any specific character. Mexican Mexican knockoff toy factories are so weird, I've noticed, because they'll make like a lot of obscure characters and copies of things that like they know there's demand for out of like old patterns and stuff of plushes or like dolls. I know that there's this one factory that's using like these knockoff Frozen dolls to make fashion dolls, like custom fashion dolls of a lot of knockoff Disney characters and stuff. US copyright laws just hold no grounds in Mexico. But yeah, I'm so glad I was able to get this one with her really, really cool custom sculpted horns. Also, this one has a different screening. She still has Frankie's little stitch on her cheek, but she's got this sort of bronze eyeshadow. She also has brown eyes. It's the same screening, it's just different colors. And she, instead of having red and black hair, has black and white hair with some golden tinsel in it. And it's also polypropylene, unfortunately. I kind of thought about maybe having these dolls rebooted, but at the same time, I feel like that would sort of take away from the charm of them. And also, I'm kind of afraid of their head splitting because I'm not sure how good quality this vinyl is. If it's as good quality as the paint, which of course they have that very lovely lead paint aroma that a lot of Mexican knockoff toys have, then I'm probably not going to want to take a chance on ruining these dolls that I probably will not ever be able to own again because they're actually kind of rare at this point. But this one, apart from the hair and the horns and the screening, she's very similar. So this one seems to be a little bit more of a vibrant red. Her plastic almost seems thicker than the other one. Like, you can see through this one, but this one's a lot more opaque. It's very strange. Also, the arm plastic, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, but it's sort of bubbling a little bit. Very weird. And but she's got the same exact markings and everything. I didn't check on the inside of the head if they have anything in there. Nope, no markings on the inside of the head either. But I got these two, and since then I haven't really been able to find many more. There's just one specific shop that I used to get them from on Mexican eBay, but they haven't been listing anymore lately. Maybe they ran out of stock or something. Or maybe there's somebody else buying these, I don't know. But I have this last one, who is the most recent one that I have got. And I got her because I thought she was really cute. This one is actually modeled after Draculaura, as you can see from her really cute bubblegum pink skin and the fact that they gave her a little heart decal on her cheek and little fangs. She even has black lip liner, which is a cute detail. And she's got beautiful lavender eyes. I love the eyeshadow color that they chose. And her faint reddish pink eyebrows look really good on her skin tone. And the shade of lipstick is also really perfect on her. Her eyeshadow is also kind of shimmery, but I really doubt that you'll be able to make that out. And her hair is a lot longer than the other two, and it's a lot better kept, but it's still polypropylene, unfortunately. But it's a black color, and then it's got this pink streak in the front with an elastic, a really thick rubber band elastic holding it together. And her body is kind of a different shade than her head, but I think that kind of adds to the charm. Like, all these little imperfections are what makes them bootleg dolls. And I'm not sure if you'll be able to tell, but like something happened, something went wrong whenever they were casting this mold because the legs aren't perfectly on the lower torso. Like they're kind of sticking out farther than they should be as compared to the other ones who are pretty flush with the lower torso. I'm not sure why. Um, but each one of these uh, bootleg dolls are going to be kind of one of a kind. I mean, there's no quality control to be expected, but I will say, at least their faces aren't pixelated. But I love these dolls. They're weird, they're mysterious. I don't know a whole lot about them, and I'm constantly always looking for more. There's this like jet black one that I really want that I think is based off of the Monster High Spider character. And also there's clones of the boy dolls from before they had a sculpt for Claude or any of the male characters, where they're literally just Ken dolls with sculpted on monster details. They did a lot of weird stuff like that back then. They also tended to use Bratz parts a lot in their clones because Bratz also had stylized proportions. There were a lot of Monster High clones from Mexico back then that used Bratz bases, which is kind of funny for them to be mixing brands like that. But that's why I love these, because they're so weird. And they're from Mexico, so these dolls are literally as Mexican as it gets. And what better month to give them a spotlight than Hispanic Heritage Month? So let me all know what you think of these odd Monster High clone dolls. Do you have any of them? And if you are from Mexico, have you seen any of these whenever they were sold in stores? I wonder what kind of packaging they came in. I'm guessing they came in little baggies or something. But if anybody else has any sort of information on these dolls, please feel free to leave it in the comments. But as always, if you all like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy this content to help support my channel and the algorithm. And I'll see you all next time. Thank you so much. Bye.